In this video, we'll cover the final step of our three-step process, which is how to select your Copilot, and we'll also give you a few tips on how to narrow down your choices and select the best Copilot for your project. Once the submissions start rolling in, you can start taking a look at them. Don't be too worried if you don't see any submissions until the very end of the 4-day submission period. It's not unusual for the Copilots to take their time working on a good plan for your project. You can keep an eye on the health of your Copilot competition by looking at the Copilot posting page in Cockpit. To get to this page from the default All Projects page you see when you log in, hover over the Copilots area along the top of Cockpit and select My Copilot Postings, and then click on the hyperlink for your posting in the Copilot posting column. As the Copilots register for your opportunity, you'll see this gauge start to change colors. It will be red for unhealthy registration numbers, yellow for not ideal numbers, and green for healthy registration. Based on the reliability of the members who register and the number of registrants, we will give you a prediction on the number of proposals to expect. You will see this number change as the Copilot competition moves through the 48-hour registration period. To take a look at the submissions, click on the Submissions tab. From here, you can download each submission. Let's take a closer look, and let me show you what your submissions will generally look like. When I download the submission, you'll see two primary documents, a strategy document and a game plan. The strategy document includes the Copilot's proposal for how your project should be run. They'll let you know the timeline they recommend, the estimated cost, and what approach they would take. You'll also see an overview of the project scope from their perspective, any technologies they recommend, and what resources they'll need from your team to complete the project. The game plan document shows the timeline of what competitions the Copilot thinks need to be run to complete the project. This should give you a pretty good idea of what this Copilot is thinking as far as strategy and time frame. These are the two basic documents that will accompany each submission from the Copilots. You want to be sure to read through them carefully and possibly bring other people from your team in on this for input when making a decision. Remember, this is going to be the person who will be your overall process manager for the duration of the project, so being armed with as much information as possible is crucial. Also, be sure to think of these proposals as rough estimates. The actual timeline will probably end up being a bit longer than the proposed time frame. Remember, the Copilot does not know your company's approval process, so the game plan does not account for any authorization or thumbs up, thumbs down decisions you'll need to get on your side. So this may delay the start or completion of a competition by a few days or weeks. The proposed budget is an estimate also, which is based on the overall average cost of the competitions that the Copilot has proposed, so yours may come in above or below this. Just a few things to keep in mind as you're looking at and comparing the submissions. In addition to these strategies, you can turn to your TopCoder account manager for insight into the strengths of each Copilot. Since they've worked with the Copilots in the past, they'll probably have some suggestions for you on which Copilot might be best suited for your company and your project. Well, we've reached the end of our Getting Started training series. You've gone through the full life cycle of Copilot competitions and should have enough information to start and finish on your own. Be sure to remember the three-step process. Step 1 is to gather the right information. You'll want to have details about your project on hand to provide a public description of what you're looking to do. You'll want to know what technologies are acceptable and what, if any, additional requirements are necessary. Remember, in this initial gathering information phase, if there are any confidentiality concerns, you'll want to address those at this time. Step 2 is to launch the Copilot opportunity and be ready to communicate in the forums. Ideally, you'll want to launch on a Sunday or Monday. Remember, the competition runs for 4 days from the time of launch, with the first 48 hours of that being a registration phase. And finally, step 3 is to select your Copilot. You'll want to be sure to download all submissions and look to others for help on this step. Feel free to reach out to your TopCoder account manager and ask for guidance. Thank you for taking the time to go through this TopCoder training series, and we look forward to a successful partnership.